we do it. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This is the Chit Chat with Nat series, and I'm so excited to be uploading the first episode in this series. I thought that the best episode to be in this series with was my 20 lessons I learned before turning 20 years old. So I originally started filming this and I realized that I talk a lot and I had a lot to say, so I'm going to actually split this video up into two parts. So today you'll be getting 10 of those lessons, and then the next time I upload you'll be getting the other half of this video. So make sure you turn on your post notifications so that you don't miss out on the second half. I am so excited to get to do this because I love helping people and giving people advice. I always seem to be someone that people come to for advice, and a lot of these lessons that I learned were things that people have asked me about, and so I'm so excited to just kind of compile them all and share them, and also talk about some of my experiences and how I came to learn these lessons. I definitely believe in the power of learning from other people's mistakes as well as your own, and I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot of things in the past 2 years since I left high school, and if I can just be some help to someone to alleviate some pain or to give some reassurance or to just give someone a different perspective, then I would have done my job today. God calls us to help other people, and I'm just so excited to get to start this series. So without further ado, let's begin. First lesson that I wrote down is everything has its own time and place. There is no set life plan that you have to follow. And I find this one to be the central rule, or not rule, but lesson that I learned. And I think that everything else I've learned because I learned this one. I seem to think that if we're not in a certain point in our lives where we should be, that we're not succeeding and that we're falling behind. And I find that to be such a misconception that we need to just drop behind. The other day I saw a post on Instagram of this military wife who is 23, and she said she felt like she was falling behind because she had not gone to college and she was watching all of her high school friends and classmates graduate college. And she felt that because she didn't have that degree, she was less of a person. But she had a family, she had bought her first home, and she had started her own small business. So you could arguably say that both of these people are very successful, but because she wasn't following what society deemed as the right life path, she felt as if she wasn't accomplishing enough. And I want you guys to know that whether you choose to go into college right after high school, or you choose to do something entirely different, like join the military, start your own business, enter like a vocation, or even if you're just in the workforce, know that all of these options are okay. These are the right options for your life plan if this is what you want. I think that college isn't necessarily for everyone, or even at a certain time. You need to figure out what you want out of your life and know that you're not either behind or ahead of anyone else. You are going at your own pace in your own timeline, and that is perfectly okay. I don't know who in society deemed that we go to school, we go to college, then we get a job, then we work our butts off until we get our pension, then we retire, then we explore the world, and then we die. And then along the lines in there, you start a family, you have children, and accomplish great things. And if you know what you want for your life, then that's awesome, and you just stick to your plan and don't let anyone veer you off course. Alright, so the second lesson that I have, that I learned, and I wish somebody would have told me in high school or at all in life, is that you do not have to have it all figured out. And this would have been so useful to me, especially my senior year. If you knew me during high school, for the most part, you'd be able to say that I was always literally only looking towards one thing in life, and that was to get into the academy in order to become a Marine Corps officer. And my sole focus was literally that. Like, everything I did revolved around that, and people would have said that I had my life all figured out and that I had like a set plan for everything. And I actually did. I was like, by age 28, this is going to happen, and by age 33, this is going to happen, and if these things don't happen, then I'm going to be extremely disappointed in myself. I even found one of my journals that I wrote in a lot while I was at NAPS, and in the first couple weeks I wrote, if within 10 years like you haven't done this, like you failed. And it's kind of a twisted mentality for me now, because I realize that sometimes life definitely doesn't go the way we plan it. Sometimes some outer influences affect us and we can't necessarily stick to that plan. And if you do, that's great. If like you absolutely need a plan to go through life and it has to be really detailed and that works for you, that's awesome. But I realize now that that does not work for me. Like I can't have that much of a structure in my life because I realize I'm kind of spontaneous and I tend to do things that normally people would frown upon, like dropping out of college and getting married and moving all the way across the country. So I just want you guys to know that if you are someone right now that doesn't know the direction your life is going, and if you're uncertain about whether what you're doing is right or wrong, just know that you don't have to have it figured out. Just get a general idea and definitely take time to discover what it is that you want to do and what's going to ultimately make you happy and what you're going to be okay with working in. Like, you need it, whatever you do, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's easier to do if you're willing to put in that work because it's something that you enjoy. And in the meanwhile, while you're trying to figure out what you want to do, take up as many classes or as many jobs as you can to learn new skills and learn about different things that might interest you so that you can figure out what it is that you want to do. I mean, that's the only way you're going to really know what it is that you want. And that's what I've been doing. I'm just kind of trying different things, and I've got that opportunity right now to really explore what I want to do. I think that's something that high school did not definitely prepare me for. It was just kind of always this push to go to college, and it was never like, hey, well, you don't have to go to just college, you can go to like a vocational school or a trade school, or you can go and be a part of like law enforcement, or you can join the military, or you can actually just enter the workforce and get valuable skills or do internships, paid internships and stuff like that. And I think that is a flaw in our education system where everyone just pushes for college and we don't realize that college isn't necessarily for everyone. The third point I have for you today is do not let people influence your life too much. And I cannot stress this one enough, because had I let people influence my life, I would not be where I am right now at this point talking to you into this camera. And I have a really great story, and I feel like most of my lessons that I learned tie back to my time at NAPS. And you guys will definitely get a video where I talk about all of this, because I know so many of you guys have questions about it and have wanted to know for a very long time. And I've just kind of kept quiet about it because I've obviously taken time even after I left to just process everything that happened and everything I learned. So the reason I say don't let people influence your decisions too much is because you know yourself best. Like, there's no one else in the world who's going to know you better than you. And the thing is that sometimes we don't even know ourselves. So how are you going to let someone else dictate what is right for your life? People can give you advice and they can guide you in the right direction and they can teach you certain things and instruct you. But at the end of the day, you have to live with your decisions alone. You cannot let someone else make the decision for you and then shift the blame to them, because you're the one that has to live with those actions. And my example for this comes with my decision to not continue on to the Naval Academy. I expressed my decision to not want to continue over to the academy to people that were closest to me, so my family, a few of my friends, and obviously my fiance at the time. And they had a lot of great advice, and I took their suggestions a lot more seriously than I would just a random person. And the thing is that a lot of people at NAPS, including my peers as well as like my superiors and my officers, were very opinionated about what I should do. And they all had a say in what was right for my life. And the thing was that these people didn't actually know who I was. And they didn't take the time to understand who I was or where I was coming from with my decision. They just told me that the decision I was trying to make was a stupid one, a foolish one, or that it would be a regrettable one. And you know what? Maybe their words for me would have actually held more weight if people would have actually taken the time to sit down with me, influence my decisions. I'd be in a different situation, and I probably would be regretting listening to these people and not listening to myself and what I thought was right for my life. And another big thing that influenced my decision was also my faith in God, which I will talk about later on in a different video. But these were all things that nobody else had control over except for me. And had I let them decide for me, I'd be giving up one of the few rights that we have as human beings, where we get to make choices for our own lives. And that is such a powerful thing. The moment you allow other people to choose what is right for your life, you're literally giving up control over yourself and handing it off to other people that don't know anything about you, that don't know about what your favorite color is, or what your mom's name is, or what motivates you and what you're passionate about. And if these people aren't willing to take the time to make these conversations and establish these relationships, then they have absolutely no right to dictate or try to influence your decisions in life. The next point or lesson that I learned is that you never owe anyone an explanation for your actions, for things you choose to do or choose not to do. If they get an explanation from you, then that's something that isn't owed to them. And I mean, there are certain cases where you probably do want to explain yourself, like if you are in like court or something, if you get arrested or if you're caught doing something bad, I would highly recommend you explain yourself to get yourself out of your situation. But I mean, in terms of decisions you make for yourself in life, or things that you want to do or choose not to do. Like, for example, if I don't like drinking alcohol and I'm offered alcohol, I can simply say no thank you, and they don't have to press on about why I don't want to drink alcohol. So you really don't want to press on people for explanations, and you also don't have to give them out freely either. This is another big thing for me while I was at NAPS, was that these people that also think they had a opinion in my decision were also the same people that jumped to conclusions and assumed things about me without actually knowing any facts. It was just rumors going around. And I thought that was very difficult for me to go through, because I honestly felt like I was so alone in my decision. I always kind of felt like I was an outcast because people couldn't possibly understand why I'd want to leave the academy. Ultimately, at the end, in the way I had to leave the academy, people were quick to make assumptions about what really happened, and I felt the need to always correct them and tell them they were wrong, but I always had to stop myself because I knew that no matter what I said, they already had a preconceived idea of what was true, and there was actually no point in trying to explain myself to them because, like I said before, they didn't take the time to actually try to understand me. What gives them the right to have an explanation for me? At that point, I'm just kind of feeding into the whole ordeal of rumors going around and whatnot. And sometimes it's okay to set the record straight, but you don't have to. And I just decided to be a better person and just keep my head down and just keep doing what I had to do for myself and move along. And honestly, my life is better because of that. Like, you know, people probably still think of me certain ways from that experience, but I know that my close friends from there that were actually there by my side, like, we still have a very strong relationship, and they never once looked down on me just because I decided not to go to the academy. Like, these are decisions you make in life, and it doesn't make you any less or any more of a person. And that's why I say you don't owe people an explanation. You definitely have all the right and all the control on whether or not you want to explain yourself in your decisions. So do not be afraid or do not feel pressured into having to explain yourself.